The phylum Coeliophora includes some of the most complex protozoa. The ciliates are widely distributed in freshwater and marine environments. A few ciliates are symbiotics. There are some characteristics of the phylum Coeliophora, which are the cilia for locomotion and the generation of the feeding currents in water, relatively rigid pellicle and more or less flexible shape, and the distinct cytosome and mouth structure. The dimorphic nuclei, there are two types of nuclei, that is the macronucleus and the micronucleus. So these are some basic characteristics of the phylum Coeliophora. Here is the compatible structure of the ciliates, that is the paramecium, and in the diagram we can see its different structure. There is anterior end and the posterior end, and there are different two kinds of nucleus, that is the micronucleus and the macronucleus, and the cilia and the pellicle and the other structures we can see in the diagram. Cilia and the other pellicular structures. The cilia are generally similar to the flagella, except that they are much shorter, more numerous, and widely distributed over the surface of protozoan. The ciliary movements are coordinated so that cilia waves pass over the surface of the ciliates. Many ciliates can reverse the direction of the ciliary beating and the direction of the cell movements. So this was about the structure, that is the cilia. And the trichocysts, these are pellicular structures primarily used for protection. They are rod-like or oval organelles oriented perpendicular to the plasma membrane. In paramecium, they have a golf tree appearance. The pellicle can discharge trichocysts, which then remain connected to the body by a sticky thread. Here in the diagram we can see the cilium and the pellicular structure, that are the trichocyst. So this is the cilium, and here on the base these are the cytoplasmic pellicles, which include the trichocyst openings, circulatory spaces, alveoli, plasma lemma, and basal bodies, and inner membrane somehow, which is also included. So this is the structure of cilium and the trichocyst or the other pellicular structures. Now let's talk about the nutrition in ciliates. Some ciliates, such as the paramecium, have ciliated oral groove along one side of the body. The cilia of the oral groove sweep small food particles toward the cytopharynx, where a food vacuole forms. When the food vacuole reaches an upper size limit, it breaks the free and circulates through the endoplasm. Some free-living ciliates prey upon other protists or small animals. Prey capture is usually a case of fortuitous contacts. The fortuitous contact is actually, that is the accidental contact or the by chance contact. The ciliate Didymium feeds principally on paramecium, a prey that is bigger than itself. Usually we think that the predator always in bigger size, but in this case the prey is bigger size and predator is smaller than its prey. The Didymium forms a temporary opening that can greatly enlarge to consume its prey. The Suctorians are the ciliates that live attached to their substrate. They possess tentacles whose secretion paralyze prey. Often ciliates are amoeboid. The tentacle digest or opening in the pellicle of the prey, and prey's cytoplasm is drawn into the Suctorian through tiny channels in the tentacles. The mechanism for this probably involves the tentacular microtubules. Now we'll discuss the genetic control and the reproduction. Ciliates have two kinds of nucleus, that is the macronucleus and the micronucleus. The macronucleus regulates daily metabolic activities, and the micronucleus, these are the genetic reserve of the cells. The ciliates reproduce asexually by transverse binary fission and occasionally by budding. The budding occurs in Suctorians and results in the formation of the ciliated free-swimming organisms that attach to the substrate and take form of the adult. Ciliates reproduce sexually by the process that is the conjugation. The initial contact between individuals is apparently random. So we'll discuss the process of conjugation by which the ciliates reproduce sexually. The first step is the initial contact, and that is totally random. The ciliate's plasma membrane then fuse and remain that way for several hours. After separation, the exoconjugates undergo a series of nuclear divisions to restore the nucleus characteristics of the particular species, and then the cytoplasmic divisions that form daughter cells accompany these events. So what happens in the conjugation? First of all, the initial contact takes place, which is totally random, and then that remain away for several hours, and after the separation, the exoconjugate undergoes a series of nuclear division, then the nucleus divides, and then the cytoplasmic division take place. Now we'll discuss the process of conjugation step by step. In the first step, the random contact brings individuals of the opposite mating types together. Here are two individuals of the opposite mating type which come together by the random contact, and in the next step, the meiosis results in 4 haploid pronuclei. So nucleus divides into 4 haploid pronucleus by the process of meiosis. Then what happens? 3 pronuclei and the macronucleus degenerate. Mitosis and mutual exchange of the pronuclei is followed by fusion of pronuclei, and then the pronuclei exchange, where in the diagram we can see the mutual exchange take place of the pronuclei by the fusion of pronucleus. Then the conjugates separate. After the fusion of pronucleus and the mutual exchange of the pronucleus, the conjugates separates, and then the nuclear division that restore nuclear characteristics of the species follows, and then the nucleus divide and the nuclear division takes place, and after the nucleus division, the cytoplasmic division take place, which will accompany the 3 events, and then the micronucleus and the macronucleus goes in each individual, and here we can see there are 4 individuals as a result of this division. So now we'll discuss the symbiotic ciliates. Most ciliates are free living, however some are commensalistic or the mutualistic, and few are parasitic. The Blantidium coli is an important parasitic ciliate that lives in the large intestine of humans, pigs and other mammals. B. coli is passed from one host to another in cysts that form as feces begin to dehydrate in the large intestine. So guys, this was all about the phylum Celiophora. I hope you like the video. If you like the video, please subscribe the channel to watch further such educational videos and press the bell icon to receive the notification of each videos. Thank you so much.